Manual Logger does not use the same user database as the Pi server. What this means is that users will have to be created in Manual Logger even if they already exist in the Pi server. Every user must belong to a group. So let's see how this is done. The first time that we log in into Manual Logger after it has already been configured, we can use the default username and password of PyML. This username and password will allow us to create users and groups. When I open Manual Logger, the welcome window comes up. In here I can manage users and user group. In the lower pane I can see the already existing username of PyML and the group of PyML admins. It is always a good idea to create at least 2 new groups, one for data collection and one for data processing. By clicking on the new group, I can enter the group of operators, which under description I will say that they have admin rights. And I will create a second group which I'm going to call secondary operators, and the description is going to be auxiliary operators for data collection. In the lower pane I can now create users that I will have to make part of those groups. By clicking on new user now in the lower pane, I can create a new user. I will skip the description and let me go ahead and create two new users, and I'm going to go ahead now and configure these users. The first user that I created, Bob, I can click on his properties and I can see his group membership. Right now Bob does not belong to any groups, so I want to add a new group. I want Bob to be an operator and to have admin rights. Click OK and I can see the new group that Bob belongs to. For Mike, I can do the same, see his properties and group membership, and I'm going to add Mike to the secondary operators group where he's going to be a data collector. Click OK, OK, and Mary, I check her properties, and I want Mary to belong to PyML admins. I want Mary to be an administrator. So now I have 3 users that belong to 3 different groups. This is going to be important when I create tours for which I want to submit the data for review. So when I do that, the data collectors such as Mike will be able to collect data, but once they come back and upload that data into Manual Logger, the data will have to be reviewed and accepted by operators like Bob before that data is sent to the Pi server. Before we move to the next exercise, I would like to make PyML a member of the operators and secondary operators group. By clicking on properties, I go to the group membership and I add both of those groups. By clicking OK, I can now see that PyML belongs to those groups. Once I have created my users and user groups, I can start creating tours and assigning groups with different levels of access. Under Tours, I can create a new tour using the tour creation wizard. I'm going to call this tour Lab Data, and I'm going to assign the operators as the full permission group, which means that they will be able to modify, delete, or add information to the tour, including the tags for which I am collecting information. As a data entry only group, I will select the secondary operators. Click Next, and I'm going to add as many tags as I desire to my tour. In this case, I will only add one tag, PyML float1, click Next and Finish, and now I'm taken to the window where I can select the properties of my tour and configure the tags for which I am collecting information. Here on the left pane, I will have all of the tour information, including the tour name, lab data, a tour description if I want to add a description, and the two different groups, the full access group and the data entry only group. So I'm going to add a tour description. This is going to be lab 158, and I want to check on my tour options. In here I can select several different options for my tour. I can choose whether I want to require the manual data to be submitted for approval. In this case, I want to require the manual data to be submitted for approval. So I will also have to uncheck the box that allows my data collectors to send data to the Pi server. What that will do is ensure that data collectors are not able to send data to the Pi server until the data is submitted and approved by the full access group, which in this case is the operators. I also want to uncheck the feature that auto sends the data to the Pi server to ensure that the data is properly reviewed before being sent to the Pi server. I can click OK and save my settings. So let's now test this feature very quickly. I'm going to exit manual logger so that I can log in as a data collector only, and I will use the username of Mike because Mike was a secondary operator that only had access for data collection. And here I'm going to go to manage tour runs. I can see the lab data tour that was created, and I want to create a new tour run. That means that I'm going to collect information for this tour, and I'm going to collect information, let's say for the 6 a.m. tour at the beginning of the shift. Click OK, and now I can go ahead and collect information. There is only one tag for which I need to collect information for, and I'm going to enter the value of 50. Once I'm done collecting information for my tag, I can go ahead and submit my changes or my tour run. I click yes, and I can see that the data for the tour run was submitted. Now if I wanted to review or open that tour run again, I can see that I do not have permission to review or approve this data. So I'm going to exit manual logger and log in again as an operator now, and log in under the name of Bob. Bob was one of the operators, and he had rights to review and approve the data. Now I can go ahead and open the tour, and I can see that I have a new option here, which is the approve option. Bob is going to review the value that was entered, approve the data, and now I can see the status of the tour run. The data has been approved by the operators, and it has been immediately archived in the Pi server.